All right, part 2 of my Real Feel review set. Yes, so I started with Kong, but I wanted to finish what I felt was already the stronger figure. Today we are looking at the Real Feel Godzilla Evolved from Playmates. Now, if you saw my last review, Kong I was a little, soft on. So here we have the Real Feel Godzilla Evolved. So he's in the Monsterverse box set. So as you can see, we got the Ion Dragon. We know Frostbark is on his way. Hopefully an Ion Dragon. Some more of the Titans from the films are on their way. So as you see, it's from Godzilla Kong the New Empire. Real Feel there. And for those asking, there is your barcode. Happy hunting, everyone. So as you see, there's some assembly required. And much like the Kong, here's the back of the box. Give you guys a good look. And the other lines, the Real Feel Kong, the Drowned Viper, One Eye, Tiamat, and Mechagodzilla. So I reviewed all these. You can go back in our archives on this channel and check those out if you want to see those reviews. But let's get down to brass tacks. Let's get this guy open and check him out, because I'm actually kind of excited about getting my hands on this dude. All right, got all the snippy out. Okay, there's the tail, and there's Godzilla. So here we go. We got the two pieces. Let's see this one, because it's a little more rubbery. Should be easier to get in than the previous one. Yeah, that goes in a lot better. All right. So right off the bat, this is the superior Godzilla Evolved figure that Playmates has put out. I have been very crucial and critical about this figure in the past. It was the first of the line I managed to get a hold of roughly a year ago, a little over a year ago at this point. We are coming on the 1-year anniversary of this film. So I managed to find this guy back when I was out in California. The figures arrived a little early there, so he was the first one. When I opened him, I was like, okay, it's a cool figure, but the pose and the lack of articulation really kind of, it soured me a little bit on the figure. It was the first out the gate for this new film. It's a new Godzilla design. So when Playmates announced these Real Feels, I had in my head, like, okay, they're just putting skin over existing molds. Now, I looked at the Kong in the last video. The Kong was a little disappointing because he lacked the articulation of the previous Kong figure, which I thought was one of the best of the lines. And to be fair, the line has improved greatly as they've gone down. The Drowned Viper and Tiamat are amongst the best of this entire line. Kong being up there with them. He's a great action figure. Godzilla, on the other hand, has been plagued left and right with many issues, and considering he's one of the stars of the film. So when I picked this up, I immediately just gave it a little jostle. I'm like, ooh, this is different. This is something new. So this is more than just putting like a texture over the original mold. This is actually semi-remolded with soft plastic. So he has heft. He has a lot of heft to him. Like, he is much heavier than the previous Godzilla Evolved figure. That one is pretty light. If you have one of those in your collection, you'll know what I'm talking about. This one, though, first off, the Real Feel is a gigantic improvement on this figure. Like, he reminds me of the old Kenner Jurassic Park figures. If you're old enough to remember those, when they had kind of the faux skin, they had like a soft rubber on them. They had the dino damage and everything. Ironically, considering the Godzilla vs. Kong line had the dino damage parts on it too. But right now, holding this thing in my hand, this is more than just a simple well, for lack of a better term, skin job. No, they took the molding of this original Godzilla figure and recreated all of the arms, legs, everything in a soft vinyl, essentially. It is a very rubbery texture, and as you can see, he has flexibility. Like, look at that. This is the big difference, and to me, this makes it that much more superior. Now, since these are single molds, you lose the articulation in the foot as you had with the previous one, but what you gain is movement. I mean, look at that. The tail was one solid piece. This is still one solid piece, but it was one big plastic piece. Now you got like a rubber, like, you basically have a rubber mold that allows this kind of mobility. Now, yes, it's not exactly posable, but you gotta look at this. These are kids' toys. So as a kid, you want some movement. You want to be able to like play around with these things. And this is what this figure offers in spades. Let me zoom in here a little bit. There we go. So as you can see, the texturing is far superior to the original figure. The arms, like I said, much like the legs, are just they're essentially soft. They're soft vinyl, so you can get a wide variety. This is more movement than the original figure had, complete, like 1000%. So you can grab, you can move, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. The paint job is much darker than the previous figure, which was more of a kind of a greenish gray kind of figure. This is much more in line with Godzilla's normal coloring. I actually dig this coloring quite a bit. The silver highlights really add a lot. I just wish they did it for the tail, but you know, you're dealing with a $10 toy. He does have the jaw movement. One thing I'll say that still plays this figure is the janky eye coloring. Can't quite get past that. Now, the head does not move. It is on there, but all the spikes are this rubber as well. So this is a very soft, articulate figure in its own weird way, and I dig it. I dig this guy a lot. Excuse me. Of the entire lines of Godzilla done by Playmates so far, this is by far their best figure. I'm completely blown away. I thought, you know, again, it was just going to be a dumb gimmick, and it kind of is, but they have given you for $10 a much more superior figure than the previous releases. In fact, of any of the Playmates releases thus far, I think this is absolutely their best Godzilla figure. And part of me kind of wishes that, you know, they would do some of the other characters this way. You know, maybe if we ever get a behemoth, maybe do a slight flocking with some articulation stuff. But a Shimo like this would be awesome. I actually would buy a Shimo for my collection if it was done like this. This, I mean, look, yes, he still has that weird posing, but he stands well. He's very heavy, but he's not top heavy where he's falling over. So the purple spikes, far better. They're translucent, so they give you, if you have a backlight, they look a lot better. This is a quality figure. They even bothered to paint in the elbow spikes. Look at that. So if you can find this guy on the shelves for $10, this is a must. I would say definitely a must for casual collectors. If you have kids, they're going to go bonkers over this thing. So, and just for brevity's sake, here is the Kong, and there's the Godzilla. Of the two, this one is the better one. Flocked Kong is fine, but Godzilla is superior. It's very weird because when I was reviewing the original run, the first wave, Kong to me was the best. Godzilla was one of the absolute worst. Now it's flipped. He's the lesser of the two. These, again, gimmicks. I do appreciate gimmicks. I kind of love the gimmicks are still around because I grew up on the age of gimmick toys, and when you're little, gimmick toys are the coolest thing in the world. So if you have kids, if you're watching this and you have kids, these are perfect for them. If you're an adult collector, you might poo-poo them because you have adult sensibilities, but for children, man, these are a steal. And I would say overall, perfect if you want to get your kid into Godzilla and Kong. If they're already in there, they're going to go batty for these things because you can do all kinds of stuff. You can get the Godzilla slap, you can get Godzilla Kong's punch. So there's a lot to be said about these, but it's an interesting experiment and one that I'm actually kind of happy Playmates is doing. I have bemoaned the lack of creativity in toys. Part of it is because, they have been aimed at adult collectors and they haven't really been pushing them on children lately. But Playmates knows what they're doing. This line seems to be very successful, which bodes well for not only the toy industry, but for Godzilla fans in general, because we're getting a whole new generation of fans out there. And stuff like this is what kids need. They need toys to make memories, be imaginative with. And when you have a little more detail with them, it adds a lot. So overall, I give my thumbs up on the Real Feel Godzilla. I love this thing. I am in love with this thing. The Tiamat, the Drowned Viper, and Kong, these are amongst the best of this line so far. They seem to be improving with each line coming out, better sculpts, better articulation. So, and the price point is still where you want it. It's $10. That's pretty dang good for a 6.5-inch figure, especially in this market, especially a licensed figure too. So, if you can find it, much like the A-Team, if you can find it, and maybe you can hire them. If you can find it, I definitely would say jump on it because it is a stunning piece of mainstream action figure work. Well, there you have it. That is my review of Playmates Real Feel Godzilla. Damn good figure for the price. Remember, if you like what you see, we do have a show. It's called the Kaiju Kingdom Podcast. You can find us at thekaijukingdompodcast.com. And if you don't like to download, well, you can always find us on all of your favorite podcast streamers, including Apple, Spotify, or wherever else you might find better podcasts. And that includes our sister show, Common Kaisers. We're also on social media. We're on X, we're on Instagram, and we're on Facebook.com. It's right there. Don't need to list it out for you. If you want to keep up with all of the up-to-date news in the world of kaiju, late-breaking stuff, all the fun stuff that's out there, that is where you can find us. And if you just want to say hi, leave a comment. That's the best place to do it. And remember, if you like this channel, why not give us a little subscription? Just click that little button. I'm not telling you what to do. It's a free country. You do whatever you want. But, we're not going to say anything if you hit that button. And on that note, now we'll wrap it up for this edition of the Koffers. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.